Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Damore McQueen, and as you already know, this is where I try my best to motivate you and to uplift you and to inspire you as much as possible. So today I am going to be even further unscripted. So usually I'm not scripted. I just try to talk, essentially talk from the heart. But today I think I'm touching on a topic which I think all of us need at some point in our life, or something that we all need to hear at some point in our lives, and that is simply to give ourselves grace. I mean, we're imperfect beings, right? We're humans, and the mere fact that we're humans means that there's a certain element of imperfection. And I think what this allows us, though at times, from actually giving ourselves grace, is us constantly comparing ourselves to others, right? And then that is where we fail to give ourselves grace, or that leads to us not giving ourselves grace. And in this case, when I say give yourself grace, what I really mean is being patient with yourself, essentially. That's what we're talking about here when I say give yourself grace. I mentioned before that we're humans. So, in the same way that you give other people grace and you're patient with other people, you should also give yourself grace and be patient with yourself, because you also deserve that love that you're giving to the world. So, give yourself grace firstly because you're trying. I mean, one of the very first things that I'm sure that you can agree that, you did this morning was to actually get up out of bed, right? That's one of the first efforts that you made. So you're actually trying, right? Whether you got up to go to work, to prepare breakfast, or whatever task you might have done, give yourself grace for even trying, right? And the mere fact that you tried um, means that that should also be celebrated, because there are many people who won't even try, right? So the mere fact that you're trying and trying to push beyond life's obstacles means that you should give yourself grace. I mean, life comes with its obstacles. I'm sure that you will agree. There are challenges along the way. There are opposition that we sometimes face. There are hard times that we face. So the mere fact that you got up out of bed and you went to work, or you worked from home, or whatever, the mere fact that you got up and you tried and you did something today means that you should give yourself grace. You are trying, and that deserves an applause. And so I'm congratulating you for trying, even if it's just doing what you might consider the smallest thing today. You tried, and that is worth being celebrated. Secondly, I want you to give yourself grace for growing. I'm sure that you will agree with me when I say that you are not in the same place as you were 2 years ago, 4 months ago, whatever timeline. I'm sure that you can look at one thing and say, I've improved in this area. Let's say that you were accustomed to cursing people out, and you perhaps curse people out a little bit less now. Give yourself grace for that, right? Let's say you were accustomed to responding negatively to everything, or when you're faced with challenges, but you have a much better response now. Give yourself grace for that. I'm simply saying that whatever that specific thing is, no matter how small it might seem to you, give yourself grace, because you've improved in some way or another. And I think it's important here for you to sit down for a moment after this video and think about how you've grown. So I want you to write down a few ways in which you've grown. And I want you to sit for a moment and to reflect on that and to give yourself grace. Because the thing is that sometimes it's so hard for us to see ourselves and the progress that we are making, right? So take a moment to reflect on how far you've come as you seek to move forward. Give yourself grace because you're trying and you're growing, and that is work being celebrated. And not just celebrated by others, but celebrated by you, because you need to be your own motivation and inspiration as well. Then finally, I want you to give yourself grace because you deserve it. And I deliberately paused for a few seconds because I wanted you to process that. Give yourself grace simply because you deserve it. Full stop. That's it. You deserve grace. I said it before. We're so accustomed to giving grace to others, but we sometimes neglect ourselves in the process. So I want you to give yourself grace because you deserve it. And you have to acknowledge and appreciate the fact that you deserve it. So know deep down in yourself that you deserve it. You are learning, you're growing, and you're a better individual, and you're progressing, right? So give yourself grace for that, right? Give yourself grace simply because you deserve it. Appreciate how far you've come. Appreciate the hurdles that you've overcome. Appreciate the fact that despite what life has thrown at you, you're a better individual and you're progressing despite obstacles and despite opposition. So give yourself grace for all of that. And just continue to stay strong, continue to stay motivated, and never forget, every single day I want you to give yourself grace. Look yourself in the mirror and I want you to give yourself grace. Even if others don't, give yourself grace. Because you will have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So get used to being good to yourself. Thank you so much for listening. And I do hope that this video motivated you and inspired you to give yourself grace. Thank you so much for listening once again. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and I do hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.